Welcome back to Limitless TV. We are loving going through our brand new series all about sex and relationships. My name's Nadine and I'm hosting us through the series, and I'm really delighted to be joined by some of my phenomenal friends. So before we get into the content for this episode, we're going to play a quick game. We're going to talk all about dating, so we thought we'd play a game of Mr. and Mrs. So to my left, I have got the amazing Sophie and Gareth, and to my right, I have got Tim and Jen, and we're going to see which couple know each other better. So between me and Amy, we're going to ask them questions. So to kick start it, this question is for the girls. What is one thing, apart from you, that your partner could not live without? What is one thing apart from you that your partner could not live without? I'll come to Jen first.
The Bible.
Oh, so holy. So holy.
Such a great answer. Tim's so glad we're recording this.
That's right, everybody. It's the
It's
Bible.
actually true.
Here is my sword.
Here is my sword.
Here it is. Sword of the Spirit.
I love it. And Sophie, what are you going to go for Gareth?
Running.
Yeah,
Oh,
would be true.
interesting one. Is that right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Gareth could live without his Bible just fine.
Yeah. Don't need a Bible, but
As a-
I'll run for the Lord.
Okay, guys, are you ready?
Yeah, I do.
What is your partner's weirdest quirk?
Well, she doesn't have any, obviously.
Good answer.
Weirdest quirk. Weirdest.
I've got one.
Go on.
Soph has this thing to like develop a short-term addiction to foods that happen in weird bursts. So when we were at uni, it was like an addiction to chocolate brownies to the point where she bought like 6 and stashed them in her desk drawer because she loved them that much. And then that will change, and then another week it will be like Maltesers, and there'll be loads of Maltesers. So yeah, that would be it for me.
It's a chocolate theme now.
Yeah, it is chocolate.
Sometimes it's not. Like sometimes it'll be like cheese.
Or bacon, bacon frazzles,
Or like
crisps.
bacon
Yeah,
pretzels.
okay.
Or like something. Currently, it's like M&M cookies that
Oh.
people making. So.
There's a lot of them.
I could totally relate, so I'm going to say
Yeah.
that's an amazing quirk.
I'm genuinely struggling here.
Maybe quirk.
Maybe we're correct here.
No. Might have to edit this bit out. This long pause.
Dead years
We'll keep
later.
smiling, so we're ready for when you come back.
It's just, it's just.
It's 'cause you're
I haven't got
amazing,
any weird quirks. It's okay.
Well, I have got one, but I don't think it's
Oh, yeah, no, okay, this is a great one. Nice.
There we go.
Okay, Jen does have a really weird quirk, and she's going to hate me for saying it on this video.
Oh no, here we go.
And that is that when Jen goes to sleep, she struggles to go to sleep unless she has several pairs of pants in between her toes.
No way! Wow! That's remarkable. That's remarkable.
I love how you couldn't think of anything for ages and come out with
Wow.
gold.
Why?
I'm expecting to see a lot of chat on the YouTube comments.
Bring a little bit of explanation.
They have to be a specific type of pants, first of all.
Oh, that makes it fine.
Yeah.
When I was a child, I had a Ted that got so threadbare that it felt like a pair of pants, and it got lost really sadly when I was 18. Well, I couldn't sleep without
Oh.
it, so I replaced the feeling of Ted in between my toes.
It's so
Most
bad.
people would like cuddle a Ted. You put your Ted in between your toes.
And I have to weave it in between, so it's like, and then I nim my toes like that, and it's very, I can't sleep without
Do
it.
you wake up in the morning and they're just still there?
So very often in the night, I wake up and I've lost my bed pants, and I have to find
Bed pants. And so when I'm making the bed, they're usually just around on the floor. So I make the bed, pick up the bed pants, chuck them under there, put the duvet down.
Wow.
She's ready for the next
Ready for the next night.
This is so much better than I could have
Just
thought.
like to tell you that they are always clean.
Yes.
That's a good fact. Good.
Moving on. Clean bed pants,
I
freshly
love
washed.
it. Well, we are going to jump straight into our talk on this series. I hope you've enjoyed the game. It definitely took a turn that I was not expecting. something we're often just expected to know all about. See, in the Bible, it doesn't talk a lot about dating. We have a lot of information on singleness and a lot on marriage, but dating can often be one of those topics that we're just not sure what's right and what's wrong, what's acceptable and what we believe. We're not often taught it in schools, our parents often don't talk to us about it, and so therefore we want to take the opportunity to sit down and to talk through some of the big questions surrounding dating to help you learn how to align your dating life with what God's plan is for your life. You see, your relationships don't get better with age. Your relationships can only get better with knowledge of Jesus, of who he is and what he has written in his Bible for us to find out. You see, the Bible takes us from a place of ignorance and darkness into a place of wisdom and understanding. So time isn't what grows us, truth is. I want to read from a passage in the Bible which is often read a lot when we're talking about love, and it's from 1 Corinthians 13, 4-8. And it says this: love is patient, love is kind, it does not envy, it does not boast, it is not proud, it does not dishonor others, it is not self-seeking, it is not easily angered, it keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. You see, the thing with dating is that healthy relationships are only ever made up of healthy individuals. And so I want to quickly debunk one of the biggest myths, which is that a relationship will complete you. You are already a whole person. God has created you an individual, and he has given you a plan and a purpose for your life that is not dependent on any relationship status. And if anything, a relationship will not ever complete you or cover anything. It will only ever expose you. You see, that insecurity that you have of wanting a relationship, well, when you're in a relationship, that will only ever be exposed through jealousy. When you've got that fear of rejection and you're just not really sure and you want a person for the affirmation, that will only ever be exposed through your clinginess. When you've kind of got a bad relationship with God and you're not really sticking to reading the Bible, you're not really praying much, you barely turn up to youth, you're barely at church, and you're just a little bit wobbly, but you think no one knows, well, actually that relationship is just going to expose it when you start to compromise. You see, any relationship, whether it's a romantic relationship, whether it's with your siblings, with your parents, whether it's friends at school, you will always need Jesus to complete it. For you to have a fulfilled life, you will need Jesus. And for your relationships to be healthy and fulfilled, you will also need Jesus. Because when you cut that relationship open, you are only ever left with two broken people. See, and another two mistakes that I think are often made when we talk about dating, especially when we're younger and we're dating, is we can often, when we get in a relationship, we isolate ourselves. We found one person, we love spending time with them, which isn't bad, but then we remove ourselves from community, we remove ourselves from our youth group, we remove ourselves from church, from our friendships, but actually we can only ever date well when we are plugged into community. In that verse it says, in Corinthians, it says, love is not self-seeking. Love serves. Love is all about others. When we are in love, when we are dating, we have to be plugged in to community. And the other thing that I think we can often misunderstand and get wrong is that we try and do it on our own. In that verse again in 1 Corinthians it says, love is not proud. When we're dating, we have to have a humble attitude where we realise we don't know it all, and we often will need help, will need advice, and therefore can I encourage you that if you're in a relationship, to go to a youth leader, to get someone who's a little bit older than you, someone who loves Jesus a little bit more than you, and can guide you in your relationship. Well, I'm excited to get the opportunity to talk to some of my amazing friends and now married couples who can talk about some of their experiences, what they've done well, maybe some mistakes they've made, and can help us learn on our journeys so that we don't have to do the same mistakes that they have. So Sophie, I'm going to come to you first. Do you think we can date well as a teenager?
I think if I'm completely honest, it's not that I don't think we can date well as teenagers, that teenagers can't date well. I think it's just incredibly hard. I think there's a lot going on, you're learning a lot about yourself, there's like physical and mental changes, and like all this stuff is going on. So trying to date on top of that, and trying to do it the right way or the best way possible can just be really difficult. However, kind of like what you were speaking about, I think what's really important that to date well, it's about accountability. It's about getting advice from people. It's about leaning on them and walking with them in the kind of dating journey in order to help with that, because I just think it can be really hard when you're a teen and you're still learning and experiencing life and kind of knowing what to do in the different circumstances. So
that's so good.
Yeah, that's really good. I'd like to add to that, like bringing counsellors around you. I totally agree with that, but also people who've been there and done it and maybe a little further along the journey of life.
Sure.
There's a story in 1 Kings chapter 12 of King Rehoboam, who is Solomon's son, and he's kind of stepping into office, stepping into his kingship, and he has an opportunity in this moment to unite the broken tribes of Israel. And so he asks the elders, the wise people who've been there, who've been down the road, and they give him a certain advice, but it's the advice he didn't want to hear.
Yeah.
So then he goes to all of his mates and he says, well, what do you think? And they tell him the thing that he wanted to do anyway. And then he goes and does that. And you could read the story in 1 Kings chapter 12, that the results are catastrophic. And so I totally agree. It's bringing people around us who can see from a perspective outside, but sometimes those people who aren't perhaps aren't so close to us and attached emotionally into the situation, and have maybe been through it, made their mistakes, and are willing to tell you the thing that you don't want to hear.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I love that. So Gareth, what do you think is one of the best pieces of advice that you've received on dating?
Boys, don't wear Lynx Africa. It's a given that a family member has bought that for you at Christmas in a box from Superdrug, and it just...
Mate, my mum still...
Every
sometimes-
year.
There we go!
Not just Lynx Africa, it's the shower gel.
Yeah.
That's like a double dose there.
Free deodorant shower gel, I'm not going to
I was
complain.
gonna say, he's married now, so he's not bothered about
Yeah,
things.
give me that.
He's fine.
No,
We
no.
both use it actually.
No, I think in all seriousness, this sounds strange, the best dating advice I learned was implicitly from my mum about just actively listening and being present to the person you're dating. There's nothing more valuable than sitting in a conversation, going out to cinema, having a meal, and somebody being there with you, not checking notifications or Snapchat or Instagram, or being like, I want to spend time with you, like, we're dating, we're together. So being present in that moment, I think, is the best thing you can do with someone you're with.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that. And Jen, how about yourself?
Yeah, so a couple of things. I absolutely agree with you. I was going to say, be friends over finding each other attractive, because I get it, you're teenagers.
Yep.
They're really good looking.
Yeah.
You just want to kiss. I get that.
Yeah.
But prioritise being friends,
Absolutely.
enjoy each
Definitely.
other's company, laugh and have a great time. And that would be my first thing. I think, like you were saying, Nadine, and I've learned this myself, you have to make sure you are a healthy Christian to be with somebody else.
Yeah.
So prioritise your own health as spiritually, be a healthy Christian, have your own relationship with God, because when you're a healthy Christian, that person you're with will in turn want to become a healthy Christian themselves. So prioritise that. And then my other bit of advice is, don't be too serious too quickly. Enjoy each other. Don't think you're going to get married straight away, or that God's told you to get married straight away. Listen carefully to the counsel of the wise people around you, but have fun and don't make it too serious too quickly.
Yeah, that's so good. Such good advice.
And I love that, like, about being a healthy Christian, but I think, equally important, and it's part of being a healthy Christian, is knowing that you have a healthy sense of self-worth.
Absolutely.
Because, like you was touching on in your intro, Nadine, what we don't want to do is get into a relationship because it makes us feel valuable, because it makes us feel whole, because it makes us feel complete. It's a much healthier place to enter into a relationship when I already have a sense of my own value because of who God has made me to be. And I don't need that person to fulfill me or complete me or make me whole. I'm already whole in God. So having that healthy sense of self-worth.
There's like viewing it more as like, this is a gift to be in a relationship than a necessity to
exactly.
finish me. I don't need this. It's not the thing I thrive and live for. But actually, what a gift to be a friend with someone, to be a companion with someone, to explore life as teenagers together, share new experiences, watch the new Bake Off, see the new Marvel movie, whatever it is. Like to do that with someone.
Tim's
is
never
part
watched
of.
Bake Off.
Have you watched Marvel with me?
Oh, there we go. Yeah.
I've watched a lot of football.
Yeah.
A lot of football.
Yeah, no, that's so good. That's so good. So, Tim, do you think that we have to always date with marriage in mind?
Well, I think Jen kind of touched on this a little bit earlier. I think there's two sides to this coin, if you like. And the first is what Jen said. I would advise date on the basis of friendship, not only attraction, and therefore you are dating someone who you believe you could be with
Great.
Yeah.
Long
long term.
Yeah, it could be.
But the flip side of that is like Jen said, like don't start talking about getting married after 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And I would really want to say this really strongly. Don't start talking about it's God's will for us to get married, it's God's will for us to be together, because it's so hard to hear God through the fog of the intensity of those emotions.
So true.
So you know, if that is God's purpose, then just trust Him. But it can actually perhaps unintentionally become quite manipulative when you start telling somebody, even if you really believe it, it's God's will for us to be together. Don't date on that basis. So yeah, I'd say date on the basis of friendship, not just attraction. So you know you could be with someone long term, but don't go too intense, don't go crazy, don't do that Christian thing of yes, you're the one, and we're going to be together forever. Just kind of chill.
Yeah, I love that. That's such good advice. Well, I want to just pull out the key things that I think kept coming up in the conversation again and again, and that is make sure you are plugged into community. Make sure you've got people around you that can encourage you in your relationship, that can challenge you in your relationship, and people who can make sure that you don't get too serious and that can tell you when just to take a step back. Well, now we're going to pass the conversation over to you. So you get the opportunity to answer the same few questions, whether you're with friends or whether you're in your youth group right now, and see what you come up with and what answers you can get.